Okay. Let me... There we go. Okay. We're going to... Let me think for a second about how... I will be honest, I forgot that copyright was a thing. Though I was kind of hoping that I could avoid most of the stuff by, like, using a little guy on it, but I guess that wasn't enough. Um, I wonder if it would help if we broke it up more. Hello. I'm mostly talking to myself right now. I'm really sorry. I completely forgot that content was a thing, like copyright content was a thing. And so like got ahead of myself. I'm like, "Oh, it'll be fine." And then I completely forgot. So now I'm kind of trying to what am I trying to do? I'm trying to like brainstorm an idea of how we can proceed in a way that is not going to get me completely uh like my channel in a lot of trouble. um but yeah, so if you guys have any ideas, that would be great. But in the meantime, I'm trying to think because I also just realized it's copyrighted music as well, so I'm kind of like, oh shoot. um Man, I wonder. hmm let me Google some things real quick. All right, I have no answers, but I wonder if there are other things we can do that are like within reason and not considered copyright violations. Because I do kind of want to take time to like chat with people. I'm really curious to hear about what your opinions are on some of these different music videos, and I do actually genuinely kind of like want to talk about my opinions as well. But I also know that it's like a super bad, just boring to have like a background like this. Hello, welcome back. I'm so sorry about all of the chaos, guys. I'm off to like a great start. We're doing it. We're killing it. We're doing the thing. I'm so sorry to everyone who stayed up late and then like we immediately got canceled like 3 minutes in. I think actually we made it 6 minutes, so we did something. Um, I guess to let's see. That's a really good point, Carrot. and I appreciate that. We can give it a shot again because I do want to try. Hang on, I'll have to make it like a, what do you call it? I'll do like the minimum thing. You can tell I'm like a boomer. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm a huge boomer actually. Anyway, I guess some of my thoughts on Egolution that I wanted to share before I got cut off because I forgot how YouTube worked. For me, for me, Egolution feels a lot like a Vocaloid song that I would hear in like the early 2000s. Like it gives me that kind of vibe, and I think also when you have this sort of like relatively minimalist animation style where they're like blinking and kind of their hair is moving, but it's relatively minimal, it gives a strong like fan-made it gives like that strong fan-made music video vibe, I guess, which probably also contributes to that generally Vocaloid feel, I guess. I think, and also just because of the way that the music sounds, it kind of lends itself to sounding kind of electronic like that. I just realized I still have my let's be right back screen up. Let me at least look at this. Here we go. We're here. We'll have to make... Let me put my little dude out here. I'm going to look a little embarrassed instead. That would be a better one. Where's my... There we go. Perfect. Inmate is definitely very interesting. Like, they do manage to really convey that sort of clean vibe that they talk a lot about, where it kind of feels like purification or something. Like, because of the instrumentals and things that they use, it does have this very generally clean sound to it. And it is very interesting. I do really like these surreal kind of concepts that are in the music video. Like the train in the sky, and of course you have like the angelic and like kind of heavenly imagery that are generally kind of associated with K and the others that I think is kind of nice. I could definitely see that being the case. K returning to his idol roots. That does feel correct, I guess, in that sense. Though I'm also, quite frankly, not the biggest idol person, but I could definitely see what that how somebody could see that. Let's see. I will just have to break up what I'm saying. Let's see. I'm gonna try to make it small. We'll turn it way down. I will say, okay, so like one thing that I generally like about Goku Luck songs, I really like that there are always kind of little samplings of vocals in the background. Typically it's like Ryoga making like woof sounds or something like that, but I do think it's like a really nice touch, and it adds this kind of like grungy feel to it. The instrumental of like the guitar in the background of this one particularly reminds me a lot of Trigger, which I think also is kind of divisive. I feel like every time Goku Luck puts out a song, it's always kind of a little bit divisive, which I find really fascinating. Because I feel like there are fans who are like, everything they make is great, and then there are people who are like, oh, their first two songs are really good, and then Trigger's not very good, and then whatever. I really like Trigger. Trigger's probably one of my favorite of their songs. Granted, it's like really short, I guess, relative to the other ones that they put out. Just recently I've been listening to, oh my god, I'm just blanking on the name of the song. Their anthem song, Get Swag. Oh my god. The one where they say, get your swag on. I've been, like, listening to that one a little bit more, and it's really growing on me a lot. I actually really enjoy it quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, I have to just, like, censor Shion's entire verses. But yeah, I feel like swag has, like, really grown on me recently. I love how chaotic it feels. They do generally have this very chaotic feel, and I feel like it is very, like, Beastie Boys sort of, with the, like, rock yelling and also rapping, I guess. But it is a kind of like a neat other subgenre to explore within the series, because I feel like, not to be, I guess, I don't know if it's controversial or not, because I do feel like you have, like, Bae and kind of Inmate, and I guess, like, Visty, where they all kind of occupy this sort of, like, contemporary pop music, but also with, like, rapping in it. And they, like, have some elements of, like, what you would maybe consider, like, true hip-hop, so to speak. But it's kind of just, like, popular music with rap elements to it. So it is really nice when you have these, like, subgroups that do a little bit more, where you have, like, the trap unit with Cosmos, you have, like, the East Coast or kind of jazzy group with the Cat's Whiskers, you have Akan Yatsura with their, like, Latin / I guess Matsuri vibes. You have Goku Lux rock rap, you've got I'm gonna blank on every other person, you've got Ampril, and they have their, like, instrumental orchestral kind of backtracks, so it is really interesting. Anyway, the music videos for Goku Luck are wild. I do think that I love all the, like, cars they've got in them. I was joking when Rage dropped, right? You have them and they're on, like, the trucks, and they're, like, on their way somewhere on the, like, open bed of a truck. And I was like, they're driving to the parking garage where Akan Yatsura records all of their music videos. But, yeah, that was definitely something for me. The swag was just, oh my god. I have been trying to figure out what the chorus reminds me of since this song dropped. It is very familiar. Like, the vibe of it is super familiar to me, and I can't put my finger on it. But it gives me very, like, anime character song, like anime rock character song from 2010s, which feels very specific. But that is exactly the kind of vibe I get from it. Which I think is really interesting, because you have this kind of, like, higher, grittier part in the verses, and then, like, the chorus has a very smooth sound to it. I do actually very like it a lot. Also, I do love how they have, like, a Bentley or whatever, but it's, like, in this alleyway with, like, a trash fire. I feel like if I had a really expensive car, I wouldn't put it anywhere near what's going on around it. I mean, but then again, if you look at, like, their Hummer or whatever they had in the last video, that one also ended pretty badly, so I wouldn't trust any of these people with cars. Apparently is what we should be learning from this. I will say also, though, their music video production has vastly improved. I'm so sorry to whoever worked on Trigger, but Trigger was, like, the most low effort looking music video. I mean, I guess that's bold for me when I look back at my old videos. I'm like, oh yikes! But, you know, I felt like there wasn't a lot going on comparatively, especially to, like, a group like Amperl, where it's all, like, very elaborate and, you know, ornate imagery and stuff like that. So in comparison, you looked at, like, the Trigger music video and it was like, Oh, you have like a rattling chain link fence in front of an orange background. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, they probably definitely stole it. It's the car that Shion has been driving out to meet up with fans, I guess. Oh man. The part of don't need to lose or feel sad anymore. I definitely could see it being about not losing. But I also think that to somewhat it speaks somewhat to them approaching more of a mutual understanding with each other as well. I think that like throughout the series, one of the big elements of the groups and the like story progression of Paradox Live is that there is active like character evolution between the gaps of the songs. And so I think that there is kind of a sense that maybe like now, as opposed to like they're all kind of like out on their own each for themselves, they're kind of talking about how like we're all together and we're like, you know, working towards a common goal, I guess. All right, let's see. I could probably get away with playing a little more. Oops. Somebody come bonk Shion for being horny on main. Somebody stop this man. Alright. I might just call it because I think it's just kind of a repeat of the chorus after that. I don't want to get in too much trouble. Now I'm like super paranoid. But no, I think Catharsis is really nice. I also generally within Paradox Live, I always think it's really interesting how the groups themselves name their songs, right? Like Akan Yatsura had theirs where for a long time their pattern was like all caps with a Z somewhere in it, dash Akan Yatsura is whatever. And then like recently they've been kind of changing it up since Road to Legend, and they'll have like an Akan in there somewhere, but you know, they have been using a lot more Japanese titles as opposed to like Rowdies or Call for Families or whatever. And from like a meta perspective, I think it's really interesting because I feel like it does say something about the groups that use Japanese in their both their group name and also in their titles. So like you know, the fact Goku Luck has had a lot of English titles in the background where they use the Latin letters, but now they're using the katakana for the katakana writing of Catharsis. I just think it's very interesting. It reminds me a lot of the first the intro track with Satsuki, where he's like panicking because he can't read most of the other group names they're competing with. So like Bay, Cosmes, and the Cat's Whiskers are all written in Latin letters, so he's like really struggling to read them, and then he thinks that they're all foreign. And I wonder too about like within the prison, like we don't really know like the educational backgrounds of the characters. I mean, I assume that Kento's probably fine. He probably knows some English, probably a lot of swear words and like, I don't know, gamer words, so to speak. You know, but the other group members, I guess, like Hancho probably has, or like, you know, Inukai probably has like a pretty average standard education. But I do think that's like an interesting note, whereas like you have other groups that only use really just like stylized English or something for their titles. I do think it sends kind of like a different message. Well, I think that also too this the Catharsis does speak somewhat to at the end of Revolution. Like they kind of openly told the people kind of up top like that they weren't gonna like put up with their nonsense anymore, and they were kind of a lot more like emphatic about what they deserve and the ways that they're going to go about, functioning in the future and things like that. And so I would imagine also from like a narrative perspective, that's probably also what it has to do. Oh, dude, for sure. Kenta, absolutely. He only knows just the worst internet words. Kenta probably, he's like laughing at like, I don't know, some like internet meme, but it like didn't really like, it's not like an international one, so it's like some like English internet meme that he's just, I don't know, dunking on or something. Like, I could see it in my head where he's just the most memey, terrible English. Kenta's all out here like, oh, you're such a rizless, I don't know, loser. Like, God, take L. I don't know. I'm like a youngish millennial. I do spend time. My work is with teenagers, but I don't really know that much. Also, I am curious too, like how far, because it's like a near future setting. So like would I'm always curious because the sounds of the songs are very similar to like what we would consider like, your 90s or early 2000s or whatever else, with like old school rap or hip hop, with like Budokan and stuff. So I always like, I'm curious, like when about are these characters born, like to be writing and creating music like that, but they're also in the near future. That is always something I'm wondering about in the back of my mind. I will skip ahead then because I don't want to get in trouble. We'll hit Cosmos is up here. We'll hit him up. Yeah, this is Cosmos. Yeah, we gotta make it right now. Okay, let's do it. 首を洗って待ってな。わからず next stage。何が答えか証明して。ドラムとベースの way。こっから俺らの真骨頂。張り合えることで make me strong。叩きのめすのがリスペクト。Yeah yeah yeah。とことんやり合いたいよ。I really like the backtrack. I feel like maybe I can sometimes sound like I don't care about Cosmos. I will say I really genuinely and generally have enjoyed their music ever since Nayuta has like been a presence. Like ever since Road to Legend, I think like all of their music has been actually genuinely enjoyable to me personally. I think that like Kanata was just like too much of a downer. And it was a little bit too, like, one note, and now there's a little bit more complexity, and, like, the tracks are a little bit more elaborate and stuff. And I think they do some more things vocally as well, where they're taking, like, some more chances and stuff. I do think that Kobayu does a really good job as, like, Kanata. He has that really, like, fast flow sometimes. It's really tight, and I think he does, like... he has those moments where he just, like, busts out things, and it's really cool. But yeah, I do like the backtrack on this one. At least since they won, the first round of Paradox Live, they can afford a subway ticket. No, I do think like they do have a very cool aesthetic. Like I think they've always kind of had that like very I don't even know what to call it. Like it's not exactly vaporwave. Like it kind of it. I'm not cool enough to know what the name of their aesthetic is, but it is this very like interesting kind of like the really bold colors and like purples and things, and they have them against like their black and whites. It's all very like high contrast, and so I think that, like I said, they have this very good combination of aesthetics and a good sound as well. and like I guess like in their trap like roots or something, it does feel a lot more kind of like quote unquote like hip hop, as opposed to maybe like a group like Inmate that's kind of like stretching what hip hop is, so to speak. But I do also think it's kind of neat, the way that the series does that. Okay, yeah, so they're like pastel punk, vaporwave ish. Also, yeah, I like completely just cut off before they get to the the drop. Sorry. Um, Also, yeah, I don't know. I guess, like, in a sense, like, because Budokan is on vinyl, but I also feel like vinyls exist in general, like, especially for people who are, like, really big into music and artists and stuff. For, like, collectors. For people like Alan, right? Vinyls exist. You can buy them. So it's not like, I don't really think that they're on vinyl because they're from, like, the 70s or something. But that being said, it is like kind of interesting because the whole timeline is very fascinating to me, and I'm really excited to hopefully get when the fan book comes out. I'd like to see that and kind of like look through it, and also obviously read the translations from people who understand Japanese way better than me, because I am very interesting to see how some of these other things fall within the line of the timeline. I have like one written out where I have like points on a list from like 10 years ago or before 10 years ago all the way to the present. And it is really interesting when you look at that to see how things are intersecting and like overlapping, like the characters' lives where they are versus like where other characters are. Um, so. Oh yeah, I think like Nayuta, it is like very nice to hear Nayuta have his own unique style as well. Like that isn't just kind of like also what Kanata's doing. And I think that that's one of the strengths of the story writing and like the evolution of the music and sound in the series, where you have Nayuta going from literally just being kind of like backup Kanata to being his own unique entity. And again, that's like the interesting part about how the songs themselves have an evolution to them, not just the characters within the story and the drama tracks. And that's really cool. That would be really interesting. There are so many cool interactions between groups that we just haven't gotten to see because we haven't got there in the series, and it's such a like a bummer to me, that that's the case. You know what I mean? Like there are so many cool things that could be like listened to and talked to, or talked about between these different groups. Like I want to see like an Amprul and Akan Yatsura interaction where like Dong has like, who are these filthy peasant children, and then they like just kidnap him and like take him to the arcade to hang out like a kid for a little bit. I think that'd be fantastic. I definitely think Buddha Icon should be older. Like Haruomi is like 36 years old. I feel like he should be like 46, and that would be like, that would make sense to me. Um, you know, yeah, I guess that would mean he'd be like 36 at the height of his career, but I also think that's like not unheard of. But I guess also maybe it's like a Japanese perspective where you have a lot of like idols and performers who really get in the spotlight relatively early and young in their careers. So maybe that has like an element of it. Um, who knows? Who could say? Anyway, I'll let the song keep playing now. We gotta make it come down the wild and night. We gotta make it show will go down. Nani ga liaru ka shitteru. Yatsura ni wa todoiteru. Gotta make it now. Oh 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 oh. We gotta make it. Oh 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 oh. Kachikata ni kodawaru. Mada ue wo mezashiteru. Gotta make it right now. 骨のあるライブ本気でやれそうここまではタイトここから上がれそうリアルなやつらのレスまだわからねえやつらして教育狙ってヘッドショットならのミス黒星ついても上げてく勝利ここまで俺らとやり合えてることその事実だけは認めようそれでも邪魔ならさせない脇役エキストラとも巻き込んでろ西洋脚の自問自答巻き起こしたフェノメノだからみんなが期待してるぜ王冠はやっぱり2個でしょ I do like in this music video that we're finally actually seeing them interact with other people. Because up until this point, it's really just been them, which is not unusual for the music videos as a whole. But I think specifically for Cosmes, to see them in the music videos actively kind of interacting with like an audience, I think that represents the fact that they're kind of opening up and they're starting to think about the people outside of their group. I think one of the big things to me that stood out in the Revolution drama spoilers, I guess, is when they're asked like, what would you do different, or what are things that you would change, and they kind of said nothing. We're already doing good, and we already won, so we're good. And I think that it kind of demonstrates sort of a little bit of immaturity on their end. So from like a narrative point, I don't know, this is maybe a little bit controversial. I think it's good that they lost, because I think that when they have the attitude that they don't need to change anything, it already kind of demonstrates that they're lacking a little bit, because I think there are always things that can be changed. I'm sure, I think that regardless of how successful you are, you can always improve things and try to strive for more. Extra makes me feel things. Yeah, I think that like I said, Kobayu as Kanata has such a like a tight flow when he hits some of these like harder bits. It's really good.
We gotta make it come and the night. We gotta make it show but talk down. Nani ga iya ka shitteru. Yatsura ni wa todoiteru. Gotta make it now. Oh 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 oh. We gotta make it. Oh 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 oh. Kachikata ni kodawaru. Mada ue wo mezashiteru. Gotta make it right now.
Funny that you mentioned Yohei and Simon and like having a similar vibe to Budaikan. In the video that I'm editing right now about Budaikan, I actually was talking about how it's interesting to me that we have two groups that have like an interesting proposal moment that like sparks their unit's birth. Like you have obviously Simon and Yohei have that moment where like Yohei says like, will you be the Shura to my Yasha to Simon, when they first are kind of like getting their start as like Quadra X. But also Buraikan, there's like that moment in, was it Revolution? No, it wasn't. It was in, I think it was in the Road to Legend, like the first part of Road to Legend, where like Shura, like Haruomi says to Chisei, like, what, you weren't joking when you said like you would make me the happiest person. So just like a normal thing when you want to start a group with like friends is you should propose to them in like while you're asking. I would love to see though like a Buraikan and like Yohei and like Alan, or like Simon, Yohei, and Alan group, like fanboys and Buraikan. I think that would be very funny. And also, yeah, the Buraikan video will be up as soon as I finish editing it, and I'm not sure when that'll be. I was really hoping to get it out today, but it might be tomorrow. Oh man, Buraikan, old man Yaoi. I don't know how to feel about that. They're only in their mid-30s. I feel like, as a 30-year-old, I feel like their mid-30s isn't that old. I do think they have a very Buraigan does have kind of like a very intimate partnership as like artists and friends, quote unquote. Very totally normal platonic friendship kind of thing. Historians would say that they loved each other like brothers. All right, let's jump over to Gotta Believe by Amprul here.
空から見てた自分の小ささを今知る思い出してみる目標やり遂げる理由はここで止まるような暇はないうなだれるな思うがまま進む姿に奴らはめくらめ
I will say, okay, so I genuinely like Amprul's music. Am I looking forward to making a video about Amprul? No. there there's so many things with this group. I feel like the reason they perform poorly in the polls is not because they produce bad music or bad MVs. Let's just put it that way. That being said, I think it's an interesting... Again, we have like an evolution of sound. I think it's very cool that they have their instrumentals, right? Their orchestral backgrounds where you have that kind of classic feel to it. And then you have the kick drums, and it has a very hip-hop feel to it now, where we've kind of evolved and we've slightly shifted the genre again. And again, I think that's one of the cool things about Paradox Live is you have active, like, evolution within the story and also within the sound of the music. That makes it really interesting to listen to.
気をさせる決意残すバース背負うもので思いほどさらに背筋を伸ばすこの先進むためには足を一歩前に出す悔しさ惨めさ全て糧になる何度踏まれようと優雅に咲くその度強くなるような花が似合う七点抜刀日々震える葛藤覚悟決めまこからしてく格闘何があろうと誇り高く頂上で輝くまで共に戦う必ず訪れその日のために全て受け入れ放つ心の叫び分けないまで先だけ見て And one step until I get them やり遂げるから忘れないで We keep on fighting till the end You gotta believe me
And here's the thing. First off, I really don't want people in general to be, like, automatically assuming the worst thing of Amprul fans. You know, like I said, I genuinely think they have a really cool aesthetic. They have a really good sound. I like their music. Their MVs are always, like, fantastic. They're very cool to watch. And I really like Dongha, actually, as a character. I think he's very compelling. It is really interesting to see how, like, he has all these pressures on him as, like, a 14-year-old. You know, and how he's trying to, like, navigate that and kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of, like, make peace with the fact that his brother, who is, like, he's been told is kind of, like, lesser than, is still kind of outperforming him in so many things. And I think, like, you know, he obviously has this kind of inferiority complex that he's trying to, like, overcompensate for. And again, he's 14, so of course he's going to act like an idiot. It's really just Chung-sung that I think that... I don't think the intention was to make Chung-sung the way he is. Like, the way he comes across. Let's say it that way. I don't think the intention was to make Chung-sung... Son of a... Let's see here. Okay, we're back. We made it. We did it. We survived. We survived. Yeah, let me just pull up some random thing here. Do I have like a blank? There we go. Here's my blank classroom background. Perfect. Okay, well, I guess at least maybe I can talk a little bit about my thoughts on things. Thank you guys so much for hanging around. I know this has been like really chaotic. But I do, like I said, I do genuinely like talking with people. It's a lot of fun to hear kind of what people have to say. But yeah, no, I think that nobody should like assume the worst, like I was saying, of Ampril fans, you know? People are entitled to like what they like. And I think a lot of people who do genuinely like Ampril are kind of just like willingly ignoring parts that they don't like, right? So, you know, I for what it's worth, I think it's like an interesting kind of, they're an interesting group. I would like there to be some like development that would have some like redeeming qualities to it, shall we say. That would be kind of nice to see. But yeah, I do also, like I said, oh, let me see. Hang on. I could probably put some cool stuff here. What do I have? I have so many goofy images on here. Oh, it's gotta be the, here we go. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. We'll have that up there on the screen. Yeah, and I don't think people should flame anyone for what they like. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, you know, I think that's the beauty of, again, of like this kind of media project where you can be as deep into the lore or as shallowly invested in the lore as you like. You can just genuinely like music and ignore everything else. So that's kind of the nice thing about a group like Paradox Live, or a series like Paradox Live. Oh, I edited that. Every time there's like a goofy image in any of my videos, like I actually am editing the things. So this is part of the reason that the videos take so long to make, is because I always get off on some weird rabbit hole of editing some dumb image that I don't actually need to. But yeah, this was the vibe of like when they're rebuilding in the what is that, the live album. Thank you, I appreciate that. Let me think. Okay, what were the other? So after we had Ampril, the next song up was Visti's new song. I'm still trying to like get a read on how I personally feel about Visti's new song. I feel like I feel like my brain is smooth, and I've like listened to it several times, and I'm like, I don't know what I feel like strongly one way or the other. I genuinely like Visti as a group. I know that people Akan Yasuda's Power Rangers. Akan Yatsuda should be, dude. I want Akan Yatsuda members, like, I want them to, like, tweet about playing Yakuza games. Actually, so Shima, Zen's voice actor, has been, he's been, like, playing through the Yakuza games. I don't know which one, but he's been playing through one of them, at least, recently. And every time he posts a video of him playing, I just can't help but think, like, man, I wonder if he's, like, using this to, like, study up for his role as Zen. Like, the next album comes out and Zen is now using, like, more Yakuza-sounding vocabulary. I think that'd be really funny. I've definitely, you know what? I bet I have an edit of that, too, of Pokemon and Paradox Live. Let me see what I got. While I'm looking, I'll just keep talking about Visti because I got totally sidetracked looking at this. But no, I think Visti is like generally a very endearing group. I think there are a lot of people who are kind of like, I don't get why they're here in a hip hop project. I think that it kind of it's nice that in a sense, right, we're kind of like paying homage to the fact that like like rap is very popular in idol music, and you can't like ignore the fact that like rap and hip hop artists, right, like Black American hip hop and rap artists are the ones who have kind of like started this movement and this kind of music that has spread internationally and become kind of this worldwide phenomenon, musically speaking. And I think it's nice to kind of like pay homage to the fact that even these like idols who listen or who do rap in their songs, it's not like they came up with the concept like completely whole cloth. This is something that is inspired by other things. So it's kind of cool to see them taking part in the Paradox Live. And I think it's also interesting because their gimmick as an idol group is that they use phantom medals, which has also made me very curious as to whether, like, Visti has any connections, whether they know it or not, to Alter Trigger. I think that that would be a really interesting story element to see, like, explored, quite frankly. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, rap is definitely, like I said, influenced like many different genres, and it's very cool. I will say, like, so the intro dramas in Road to Legend, in my opinion, were just like not very well done compared to the introduction dramas of the original 4 units. I feel like these drama tracks were very like, first off, they're all very separate. And granted, like, there were separate bits in the introduction dramas, but there were interactions or alluded to connections between members of those groups, that were teased in that in those intro dramas. In the Road to Legend, every single one of these groups is separate, and granted, it's partially because they're all just like winners of this competition that led up to the Road to Legend, and they're the finalists of this I don't know, vetting system that we weren't privy to. But it does kind of feel a little bit sloppy, I guess, in the sense, or it just feels a little bit like, oh, so they just, these random people that we don't know anything about, or that have some tenuous ties to other groups that exist, but not to each other. So they all kind of feel isolated in a sense, and then they don't have any interactions with the other groups of that generation, so it feels further isolated. When I think that one of the big strengths of the first part of Paradox Live is very much how interconnected everyone is and how everybody has kind of a little bit of the story attached to them, the larger story that is attached to each of these groups and then to the individual members. I do also think that, like, within the not great writing within those intro shows, like, Amprul and Visti's introduction dramas were both, in my personal opinion, very unpleasant to listen to. Just like I really like the whole like live part where Visti is having their like live meetup with their fans. I think that was very like idol-ish. It felt very correct. But like then you have like Shogo vomiting for half of it, and that's like not very fun to listen to. And then in Amprul, you have a lot of content where it just also unpleasant to listen to. Generally speaking. So, I remember they dropped and listening to them and being like, guys, these are not very good. This is kind of disappointing. But I really liked the drama in Rage, but, I, like, between Akan Yatsura and Goku Luck, Visti got shafted so hard in that matchup, though, because it's like, they literally have no connection to Cosmos. Like, they kind of were, like, doing the like idols and fantasy versus like hungry from the streets real music, so to speak, but it was kind of a weak link, and so they were kind of set up for failure in my opinion anyway. Like, hey now, there's a lot of us out here, grown men suffering from tummy aches. Yeah, I think that like I said, I really like Visti because like they feel like they're all like almost like comically incompetent, like, which feels very harsh, but like they're trying so hard to hold all their stuff together. And also I feel like it's crazy to me, so I don't know, maybe I'm problematic. I don't know how it is that K was the huge draw in that group. Kay does not strike me as very charismatic or like interesting from that perspective. You know, like he's like musically very gifted, but he's not the kind of energy or personality I would expect to see in an idol. Um, like everyone else in Visti is, more or less. And so it's crazy to me that like Kay left and then just everyone, like the whole thing fell apart. I feel like if anything else, like people would just be like, wow, what's wrong? Like what's going on? You know? That's the thing, right? Like the fact that they're constantly failing, that Visti are these cringe fail losers. That's why I love them so much. They're just trying so hard to hold their crap together. It's so endearing. Like I have to be on their side. I love this underdog story going on. Yeah, it's really wild. Like, and I get that maybe like I don't know, maybe there are other extenuating like because they also talk about how their first live after Kay left, there was like a massive storm, so they're out on the beach doing this live, and like not a lot of people showed up, and then like it stormed and everyone went home. So they had like a bunch of bad luck after Kay left, so maybe that was part of it. But it does seem wild that they're just like, man, we used to get hundreds of thousands of views on our live streams, and now we're getting like 10,000. That's like a huge jump. What was Kay doing that so many people were tuned in on? You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I do think that Kantaro has like a lot of growth to do, but he's also like 17. You know, as somebody who works with teenagers, I can definitely say that that's like a very realistic thing. There's a lot of these teenagers, especially now when everything you do is online, right? Everything you do is in the spotlight of the camera or recorded or put somewhere. So I feel like there's a lot of teenagers nowadays who have this kind of huge you don't want to be cringy and try too hard, because also if you try really hard and you fail, you're like cringy and also a loser and you failed, right? And I feel like you have a lot of people as well who they have to be seen, they have to be viewed, and if they're not, you're basically irrelevant, which is as bad as failing or being like, I don't know, non-existent. So I think that's like a realistic thing for a young person, especially in like the current era of like social media and things. Dude, everyone in Paradox Live needs to go to therapy. Like, it's not just Kantaro. Also, I will say, I want so badly for Aoi to do something. Like, if the writers of Paradox Live could give Aoi an arc or like anything, that would be great. It's kind of like how we had to wait until like Revolution for Anne to have an arc because Hajun and Alan have been dominating everything up until this point, and Anne is always just like, oh, and Anne's there. Even though Anne is like, in my personal opinion, just like beyond the realm of the music, Anne is like so successful as a person. Like they've got their own clothing line, like fashion line or whatever. They're like the highest sales hostess at Club Candy. They're an active university student. Like Anne killing the game, absolutely winning life, destroying people. But like in terms of the storyline and like what's going on, Anne is just like a side thought, which is such it's like criminal. Yeah, Aoi literally is just there to be like, man, Kansaro, you need to do better. Yeah, I'm here to support you guys. And it's criminal because I feel like Aoi has so much cool potential, and we just haven't got to see it yet. But I think that's like all the new units as a whole. They all have a lot of potential for interesting like story development. We just haven't got to see it. And I go back and forth between thinking like it was planned for them to all lose the first round, and that's why they immediately set them up with like their big, you know, lore relevant rivals from their first generation. So I go between thinking that was planned and thinking maybe it wasn't planned because the bracket system is so bad for that. Like, I get that you can't have a whole round robin with like 8 groups because it's a lot, but I keep on thinking about it and being like, I feel like they should have had an all new unit, like like instead of doing like the all of them against each other's thing. I feel like they should have definitely had one that was like them against, like one group versus one group, one versus group versus one group, like in the first part. Because it was just it was a bloodbath. Like, yeah, of course the ones with the pre-existing fan bases are gonna like just slaughter the new guys because we all have an investment. And also fans that might have come just for those who are new fans don't have the the dope points to support their new groups. It was just I don't know what they were thinking in this particular like arc of the series. Also, like, Aoi is like 16. Like, why is Aoi trying to like be the emotional support and like responsible one in the group where they're like two 20 early 20 somethings? You know what I mean? This is like parentification, but for Aoi in an idol group. I feel one not dope enough. Yeah, I think that well, I don't know like about maybe having a whole separate thing because I feel like that would have been a lot like when you think of like costs and stuff. And I get that maybe they wanted to have the existing fans of existing units, spending money on albums, so they're gonna have them up against these other existing groups to get people wanting to buy the albums and stuff and vote. And like I said, I kind of like I'm almost like on the line of going, I think it was planned because you had to know that they were going to lose that first round. But I feel like the first loss was important to their development as groups, right? That they can't just like stroll in and just immediately win the first round against these existing groups because these existing groups have already been doing Paradox Live stuff. But with that being said, I just have no idea what the plan was, right? Like, what was the plan? Because then they just all went to the loser bracket. I think that there should have been another layer of loser bracket instead. Like, so maybe you have like a second set of brackets. So maybe it's like a Visti versus Inmate, or and like an Ampril versus Goku Luck. I think those would have been interesting matchups. Like, you could have had like an Ampril versus Goku Luck, and the theme could have been like, breaking free. And it's like, on Goku Luck's, obviously it's kind of like we're in prison, we're trying to break free and express ourselves or whatever. And from Dongha, it's kind of like he's trying to break free from these expectations that his parents have out of him. And then you have like the Inmate versus Visti, and it's all about like, I have no idea, like having goals, I guess. Maybe like you have Inmate's goal is to like eradicate Phantom Live, and then like Visti's goal is to not crash and burn. And then you have like the drama with that, and then like whatever the two winners of that are, they battle it out to be in the winner, like to go up to the final. I think that would have been better than what we got, but that's my like personal opinion. I think it would have also given us a chance to see these different new groups interacting with each other, which we have not gotten to see yet, which is like a big shame, because I think that one of the strengths of Paradox Live is the character interactions. Oh, that's a really cool headcanon that like Aoi has had to be like a parent's therapist maybe or something. That's really interesting. Um Tom and Shoko are too busy being gay to take care of the kids. Yeah, I really don't know what they were thinking with the battle planning. It was just not very well done from the start. Um, don't ask me how I feel about the outcome of Trust. I might cry. But it was not well thought out. I don't know where they got the idea from, but it was like just not well organized. And it really just was like a mess. I think that like I do think that Inmate has a really interesting element to add, right, to the larger story. It is cool to have them like wondering, like, you know, it's an interesting point in the sense of like, why are we using phantom metals when we know that there are all these problems that arise? Like literally in the first arc of Paradox Live, somebody almost died on stage. Like, why are we doing this? And yet you have obviously the people who are performing with them being like, this is what we know and this is how we express ourselves. It's important. But it still is like, okay, but we can't ignore the fact that like people are dying. I don't want to be like a on the Cosmos like hate train, but I am so salty. Honestly, okay, no, actually though, there have been two battles in my opinion based on just the song alone where Akan Yatsuda should have won. I still to this day am beside myself that Rowdy's lost to Fabulous. Don't get me wrong, Fabulous is great, but how did Rowdy's lose to Fabulous? Unjust. Okay. Absolutely illegal. I really like Akan Yatsuda has never missed for me. I like every single Akan Yatsuda song. Um the vibe is very fun. It is really interesting because this music video did not have all of their phantom metal illusions in it because it had the casino thing in the background, but it's so much fun. It's really interesting because it is kind of like a little bit of a change up from their usual like Latin slash West Coast vibe. This one is like swing, but I think it really plays into that like high energy, kind of traditional with the taiko in the back. It was really cool. I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. Be a hater. I'm not I'm not a hater. I'm extremely salty. I just like how does like how did Leave It to Me also like how did Leave It to Me lose the trust battle? Okay, from like a meta perspective, like I get it because like Cosmos fans have more money, I guess, or have more whales or whatever. But also like from a narrative perspective, right? Like the Akan Yatsuda song is like, we trust each other, we rely on each other, we're a family, like leave it to me. And then like you have Cosmos and they're like, trust nobody, which is like the opposite of the theme of the album. And so like from a narrative perspective it was like frustrating as well because again you have Cosmos being like, we don't need to change, and like you have Kanata and Nayuta who are kind of still battling against inviting other people into their world, into their sphere. But yeah, I guess I guess I mean, I all I know is just like the wailing on Cosmos's end, I feel like was to a point that was almost like, I feel like from a moral perspective, not like a legalities perspective, from like a moral perspective and like a fan base, like I get that you want your Oshi to win, like I totally understand, but also like, y'all, what? Please, come on. Give our boys something. They've been so hungry for so long. And that's not even to say the Cat's Whiskers, guys, of all the groups, the Cat's Whiskers is so unjustly underrated. Like, don't remind me of the 2 crowns after the Akan Yatsuda with their 6 crowns. I'll cry. I'll cry in real time. Dude, oh Yakedo, oh my god, such a banger. All of their songs are banger. They're all good. But no, Akan or the Cat's Whiskers. Sorry, I really like their new song. I do, and it's like it is unfair to me that I think like when I opened up and watched Akan Yatsuda's song, like when I woke up the other day, I don't even remember when, but like the song had dropped obviously, and it already had like 4,000 likes. Meanwhile, like the night before, as I was going to sleep, I like forgot I hadn't liked the Cat's Whiskers song, and they had like 4.6 thousand or 4.6, yeah, 4.600 likes or whatever. I don't know. I'm bad at math, but either way, yeah, it would be 4,600, wouldn't it? Anyway, the fact that they were still there and like Akan Yatsuda almost caught up to them in just a couple hours. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my boys. I am a sixth man. I want them to win everything. But the Cat's Whiskers is so... It's like the redheaded stepchild of the first gen of Paradox Live, and I do not understand it. Their songs are good. They're, like, solid. Their vibe as a group is good. Why don't the people love the Cat's Whiskers? Dude, it has, like, everything. The Cat's Whiskers literally, like, they could be their own, like, anime on their own, right? Like, you've got so much going on. You've got, like, the adopted anxious mess of a child. You've got the adopted human experiment. You've got dad professor, and you've got former gangster mom. Like, what more could you ask for? I mean, you could ask for Akan Yatsuda, but the Cat's Whiskers is just, it's criminal how poorly they perform in terms of, like, numbers. Right, that's what I'm saying. I thought the people loved Old Man Yaoi. I mean, granted, now Akira's only 34, which doesn't feel like that old, and Yohei's younger than me, but still, come on, guys. Plus, all of the artists, like I love like Ryota, when he shows up to events, whenever a member of the group, like their voice actor isn't there, he wears a pin to represent the character that's not there. Like, that's so endearing. I genuinely feel like they all have a good time when they're doing the stuff. Like, Ryota genuinely feels like he loves the series. I don't understand. Their things are so much fun. Dude, an Akan Yatsuda anime would be wild. Like, you would have, like Iori doing the scariest crap, like, at night. He's, like, out there taking fingers and, I don't know, beating people. And then, like, the rest of the day is just them, like, being a family. But it's, like, chaos all the time. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, I don't even know if I would call them samey. Like, I feel like all of the Cat's Whiskers songs are distinct in their own. And I guess that maybe if it's not your genre, it sounds samey to you because it's not your genre, right? It's kind of like, I think that a lot of, like, the early Cosmo songs all sound very samey, but trap isn't my genre, so I guess that makes sense. You know, but yeah, I do. Like, they have the piano. They have, like, a really cool vibe. I know that they've definitely had, in the recent ones, they've definitely tried to kind of bring up the pace a little bit. Like, you have, like, shooting arrows. And the instrumental of Shooting Arrows sounds like a chase scene that would be in, like, Lupin Third or whatever. Like, it's very good. And you have, like, Shiki starting off and stuff. It's really cool also, again, where you see the evolution of the character Shiki throughout the storytelling of the songs, right? That's really cool. I really like that. You know, I don't know. I feel like also just, like, Shiki in general, you wanna cheer for him. He's doing his best. He's trying so hard. Right, they do. They really, especially in the recent ones, they've definitely been trying new things. I mean, and granted, I think, like Faith and, like, For Real and stuff, those are super solid. Mercy is really good. Like, all of these songs are good. Like, I mean, I know that even, like, the hardcore, like, kitty heads are kind of, like, split on Master of Music. They either kind of love it or they're like, yeah, it's not our best. But I think that, like, it's very atmospheric, right? Like, when you listen to these songs, you can kind of imagine this sort of rainy, gloomy, you know, cozy jazz bar kind of setting when you're hearing those songs. Like, it makes sense. I think it's really cool. You know, they have, like, a lot of, like, heart to them. And I think that also they're more, like, upbeat songs that are really fun. You have, like, One Shot, One Kill. I love the part where they're like, go, 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 TC double. Like, they're cheering for themselves. And I also really like Ride Out. So, you know. Yeah, who started the kitty heads thing? Was it Ryu? I think it was like in a tweet or something. But like, yeah, kitty heads became like a thing, and so the TCW fans are generally kind of like kitty heads. No matter what is really good. I think it's also really cool where in the recent ones there's been more kind of like auto tune parts, and to me it always feels like Yohei is like experimenting with new technology because like canonically, if you didn't know, Yohei is like a boomer with technology. Like he doesn't get it. Like he even uses like a watch that you have to wind because he's bad at technology. And so when he finally does get like a sampler or like a mixer or sound mixer, he has like an old model one because he doesn't know how to use newer stuff. And so he's still kind of analog in a lot of ways. And so whenever you have like the parts where it's like very obviously like mixed, I guess, with like auto tune or something, to me I'm always just imagining it's from like this perspective where Yohei's like, I gotta learn how to do this newfangled auto tune stuff for the kids. Not every group has a fan name. The Visti fans are called Stellas. Ambrels are actually, they're like ants or bugs because Mushikira. And then you have Akanyetsu have the six men. The Cat's Whiskers have kitty heads, and I think those are the only ones that are like official. Bay just calls everyone heads, but heads is just the general term for like hip hop fans. Was Yohei the one who took the photo? I thought Ryu was the one who took those photos. Yohei probably took a photo at some point that was blurry. I believe it. Yohei probably got a flip phone. Like, let's be real. You know what? No, I'm salty that Akan Yatsura, we should have gotten Rowdies, and we got Bad Boys. Don't get me wrong, I love Bad Boys, but we could have had Rowdies, guys. We could have had animated Rowdies, and we got Bad Boys not only once, we got Bad Boys twice. How are we this robbed? My favorite song from each group? Oh my god. From Bay, it's probably Bermuda Triangle. Cosmes, Two Crowns right now. Even though they stole those crowns from Akan Yatsura, I guess the Two Crowns goes pretty hard. From the Cat's Whiskers, that's really hard. I feel like I'm always torn between like Faith or For Real or like Right Out. Like I like all of those. Um, let's see, Akan Yatsura, like literally every song. I love every song. Like my all time favorites are their exhibition songs. So Rebellion and Emperor with Kumikoda. Those are like my top tier, and then like probably Rowdies is on that level, and also License to Kill. But like Rebellion is like my all time favorite, I guess. For Budokan, it's definitely Budokan is Back, or Every Day Every Night. The ending for the anime, and then Visties. It might be their Image song, for my Stella. For now, Amprul would definitely be. Would it also be there? No. What was their? Oh shoot! What was their consolation round song? Was it? It wasn't True Pride. True Pride was the other one, right? Oh my god, I'm completely blanking on the other Amp Rule songs. Shoot. I'm like, let me casually open up my Spotify and look, because I forgot what the name of the song is. I am an authority on these things, guys. Nobody But Me. Nobody But Me, I thought was really good. I also thought that Saga, to the point of now, Saga was previously my favorite Inmate song, because I thought the first two sounded really similar. Trigger is like one of my all-time favorite Goku Lux songs. That one or Stronger, just like in general. And then I think that's everyone. but also like I don't know, like every single one of the Akan Yatsura songs like gives me a different kind of emotion. Like every time I listen to Leave It to Me, I'm immediately transported to the summer, and I'm like full of like sadness because they lost. I like listening to Rowdies when I want to like fist fight 50 people in a parking garage where they film their music videos. Yes, thank you. It was definitely Nobody But Me. Turn It Up is good. Hang on, I'm reading the comments now since it's like on a delay. Call for Family should have been animated too. I don't know what it is, but something in the like the tune of Call for Families, it like hits me in this weird nostalgic emotional place, and I don't know why, because I don't know what it sounds similar to again, because again I'm not like a very big music person, I guess, but it like hits me in this like weird emotional place, and I'm immediately like on board for whatever sad emotional place I need to be to listen to it. I like okay, so listening to the OP, I genuinely like it. Having like listened to him a couple times, I even actually now that I've listened to like the whole version of Bei's like the Bei original song in the anime, I genuinely think it's a really cute song. I like it. But of all the anime only songs, definitely the best one is Buraikan. Buraikan's Every Day Every Night. It's so good. I will listen to that one on repeat. Like half of like Akan Yatsura's songs will just make me feel like I could play it at like I don't know, like a Latin event, and just no one would bat an eye. Like I'll just like sandwich it between like some Bad Bunny songs or something, and no one will notice. Yeah, I mean, again, Bei is kind of like the main character group, I guess, so it kind of makes sense. But yeah, I do feel a little bit cheated. Also, I still can't get over how goofy the ending of the anime was. Just like the view of like Kanata being like anime crucified and then everyone just rapping at him to like save him was very funny. But also the way that Iori moves in his geta when he's like rapping at the end in like the 3D model was very, very funny. Oh, I thought the cat's whiskers still looked really good. Yeah, for sure. I have not listened to the full version of that other Budaikon song actually. Good for Akan Yatsura, honestly. My Phantom Metal trauma is the anime ending. The bad visual novel ending. Guys, I laughed so hard though. Like it happened, and I was watching it just like shocked. But then I couldn't stop laughing because the whole premise was absolutely so patently ridiculous. I couldn't get over it. I was just beside myself, like just laughing. Trap reaction, and it's just like the awkward 3D animation. I also am a little bit salty that, like, I feel like in the live performance of the Akan Yatsura, when they did Bad Boys in the anime, the only one who really, like, got their... Like, I think that there were kind of fireworks in the background, but, like, really, Hokusai was the only one who got to really have his, like, Phantom Metal illusion on stage with, like, the giant tiger. So I kind of felt like I guess you could argue like the Flames are kind of affiliated with Zen's Phantom Metal illusion, but like the other groups to that point had all had their Phantom Metal illusions kind of like illustrated. Akan Yatsura's, they really focused a lot on like the the visuals of the original music video and then the characters. And I get that there are like 5 characters, so there's probably a lot to animate, but like it was a little bit sad. It was like, and it's a bummer too, because like I think with like I said, with Bay and the Cat's Whiskers and Cosmez and those first episodes where you saw those 3 groups, it was really obvious what all their Phantom Metal illusions were, and kind of how they played into a stage presence, and it made sense. And then Akan Yatsura, they were just like, we'll put a tiger on there, and we'll have like general aesthetics going on, so it kind of seems like they're on there, but they like weren't completely. I don't know. It felt very like oof. Also, welcome to the fandom. I really wanted, yeah. So, I really wanted to see Fujin and Raijin so badly. We were cheated out of Fujin and Raijin on stage, guys. I'm so salty. Don't remind me. We could have had it all. Yeah, Satsuki interacting with the cameraman. Also, Yohei, when he like kicked to the camera. That was a good one. Rayos is a lot of things. Rayos are it's actually like it's confetti, it's goldfish, and it's like windmills. It's like all these like general like Matsuri themed decorations, I guess. Yes, welcome to the swamp. The blessing and curse of Paradox Live is there's always more to discover. Yeah, if they'd had a bigger budget, I generally do hope that like the anime at least kind of gathered some attention that will lead people to the series, and I think it has. Yeah, and a Parasol too, for Rayo's Phantom Metal Illusion. Oh, thank you for recommending people to my channel. That's always nice. I think we actually just hit like 770 people, which is pretty cool. True. Hajun, correct. It's like, and it's like, it's just a lot of fun in general to be able to talk to people about Paradox Live, because like there is a lot of story lore to know or to recognize, but there's also a lot that hasn't been like directly explained, which does leave a lot of interesting room for like headcanons or like hypotheses. I'm blowing up, guys. This is crazy. Actually, it is kind of wild though. Legitimately, I'm like, I'm gonna make videos about this very niche anime like music project, and then like people have come. Guys, I'm like thrilled. I have like 25 people here. I was genuinely like, if I had 3 people show up today, it's gonna be a good day. So you guys have like wildly exceeded my expectations. I am extremely grateful. Guys, imagine like who would get crucified in the second arc though? Would it be like Dongha? Or would it be like, I don't know, like Shogo? Maybe it would be Kei. Oh my god, Kei could like complete the Jesus imagery attached to him, and he could like fulfill his role by being crucified at Club Paradox. I got crucified at Club Paradox, and all I got for it was this t-shirt. Oh, that's so much fun. I love that you got your grandma into it. I know, I was talking to someone, I don't remember who, but they were saying that their dad liked Akan Yatsura. He'll be like, put on the Latinos when he wants them to play the songs. He died, and they were this corpse. That's so grim. Oh my gosh. Oh man. I'll be honest. I am not into hypnosis, Mike. I consume information about hypnosis, Mike, just so I can like shake my head at it and be like, what is the plot? What is this? Like, I know Paradox Live's plot is also kind of rough sometimes, but like Hypnosis Mike's plot is like, I'm not even trying. I might need a PhD to keep track of what's going on. Good. Get some love for the cat's whiskers. Like, they need it so badly. Oh my gosh. I talk about it a little bit in my Budokan video that I'll be posting at some point here. But like I said, I still have to finish it actually. But when I was looking into Budokan and things to put together the video and like the script and stuff, I genuinely have been thinking like there must be at least one conspiracy theorist, right? Who's like a Budokan truther, who's sitting there like, you know, like they're like, no, I swear, Budoikans, they're still alive, they're out there, we just don't know where they are. Like, oh, the government's covering it up. Like, there has to be, right? Like, there's weird conspiracy theorists for all kinds of things. There has to be the Budaikan truther out there. All right. So I think I'm gonna probably start wrapping up things here, since we kind of managed to talk most. Oh wait, oh my God, we didn't even talk about Budaikan's music video. What did I think about their new music video? It felt very Budaikan. It felt kind of also kind of chill. I feel like all the songs in Anthem have been kind of laid back in comparison to their other songs. But I liked it. I mean, I think that like all of Budaikan songs are pretty good. So like in a similar way to Akan Yatsura, I think that they generally put out good songs. I thought the music video was fun. It is kind of a different a shift in genre for them, though. I would say. Imagine like there's like the Paradox Live and Hypnosis mic crossover. Also, sorry, I'm all over the place because I'm like I'll say things and then I look at the chat and there's a delay, so I'm like back and forth. But anyway, I do think I'm gonna probably wrap it up here pretty soon because I have to finish this video so I can edit it and post it. Thank you so much for showing up, guys. It really means a lot to me. I'm glad I got to talk to you. I was thinking maybe in the future, since this obviously didn't work in the grand scheme of things, maybe we'll do like some sort of like games or something in the future because I do like to talk to people and hear about what they have to say about Paradox Live because there's so many facets that I am not necessarily privy to. I think a lot of people like tend to fixate on their groups. And so a lot of people have like are really well versed on like inmate lore, and then I'm kind of like generally aware of it and like the general things, but there are people who are like super diehard and they're Oshi and they know a lot more about those things. So as usual, it's been really fun. I really enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for hanging around, even though things kind of went sideways there for a second. Um, and yeah, hope you guys show up again soon. Take care.